And so how did you decide specifically on the Netherlands then? Like you were interested in Europe as a whole, but what was different about the Netherlands?
What was different about the Netherlands? Well, the main thing that drove me to look into the Netherlands was that job at Google that I didn't get. The hiring manager, he was also from California. And I remember how he got into Europe was actually studying in the Netherlands. So that's how I started first with the Netherlands. Like, oh, this guy also from California got into, Europe via the Netherlands. So that's how I started investigating the Netherlands. And the more that I learned about the country, the more I knew this was probably a country for me because one, the Dutch have the highest English proficiency out of any other country where English is the second language. So it would be easy or easier for a foreigner like me to just go and study there. Also, they have the highest amount of English programs in, I believe, Europe, and I believe like 70 to 80% of their master's programs are all English, English only. So, yeah, it was because of the job I didn't get. I also talked to the hiring manager, that guy, and he told me it was a great place to study. So I was like, hey, what the heck?
And so like all of the classes that you took were in English.
Yeah, all in English. And the school I went to, Maastricht University, it's known for being a very international school. So in my program, it was a small program. I think we only had around 30 something people, but from, all over Europe and all over the world as well. So very multicultural.
So how does that work then? Like were your professors Dutch people that were teaching in English, or were they also international students or international
Um,
professors?
they were international. Of course, I would say the Dutch professors made up the biggest group, but there were professors from Belgium, from all parts of the world. Yeah.
And you mentioned that like the thing that you were studying had something to do with team building. It was in the umbrella of HR or something.
Yeah, so in my 20s, I tried pretty much every single career out there. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I've always had this interest and passion in teaching. I've always volunteered and tutored and taught. But teaching, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area, it's extremely difficult to survive financially. You don't get paid a lot in the US. But I found out you could teach in a company. It's called learning and development. Think of corporate training. So I have a cousin who is a mentor, and she used to head HR in many companies, and she told me, hey, you should check out something called learning and development. And so it just so happened that the university had a program in learning and development. Now, again, it's a very niche type of program. Most programs are human resources. That's what learning and development falls under. So they actually had a program specifically for learning and development. So I was like, is this also another sign?
So it was like it was its own thing there. It was
Yeah.
prioritized enough that it was actually its own kind of not faculty per se, but its own area of study. Interesting. And working in an international environment feels like it would also fit that type of study as well, right? Bridging the gap between people. I think that would be a good skill to have, especially in an international working environment. Is the Netherlands is it an international country to start with? Like in terms of the demographic there?
Um, Yes and no. It depends on where you are. If you go to a place like Maastricht, it's an international student city because it borders Belgium and Germany. Um, any student town you go to in the Netherlands, it's very international because what brings people to the Netherlands all over Europe is because many of the programs are in English. So it allows people to, go there and just study. If you go to Amsterdam, it's extremely international. Yeah, I believe like half of the population could be international or foreigners. I think there's like something like over 200 ethnicities and nationalities there as well. A lot of European headquarters are based in Amsterdam, a lot of multinational companies. So a place like Amsterdam is very international. The Hague is also very international as well. So it depends on where you are in the country. If you go to any big city, you'll see a big diverse population. Also, again, if you look at the history of the Netherlands, you have a lot of people from Suriname who came to the Netherlands, the Indonesians. And you have a big Moroccan and Turkish population as well. So I would say overall, the Netherlands is quite open and there are people from around the world. But it depends on where you are. If you go to a small Dutch town, you won't see much diversity there.
So, was your original plan to leave the Netherlands after you graduated?
Um, my original plan was always to work abroad. That was always my dream. I wanted to go live and work abroad. So after my program, I wanted to find a job in the Netherlands. Because again, my original plan was like I wanted to study in the hopes that this would be my gateway into working abroad in a different country. So after I graduated, yeah, it's also easier for students to find a job there because you get a 1 year visa to look for a job if you study in the Netherlands. So yeah, my plan was to look for a job.
Now, I would imagine that if you came to the end of your master's, a year later and didn't like it, you probably would have looked elsewhere. So there was something about the Netherlands that did confirm that for you that that was a place you wanted to end up in. What was it that you enjoyed about your initial time there?
Yeah, so I grew up in big cities in the US, San Francisco, LA, and then I moved to this like small city of 130,000 people. But what I really liked was that feeling of being able to walk everywhere, to bike everywhere. In the US, you drive everywhere. So I remember in LA, where I lived for 10 years, I had my local supermarket 2 blocks away, and I would always take my car there. But in Maastricht, you cycle everywhere, you walk everywhere. It's very small. So I really enjoyed the walkability of a city. I felt more connected to the city, the people, the culture because you're not in your car. I also enjoyed being in a very international environment. Studying with people from all over Europe, all over the world. I also knew I wanted to work with people also from around the world as well. Another big thing is travel has always been a big part of my life, and being in the Netherlands makes it so easy for you to just travel, right? The European infrastructure is built for traveling. And if you're not a fussy traveler like I am, you can take a bus, a train, a budget airline, and get anywhere in Europe within a few hours for not a whole lot of money as well. So, yeah, all these factors, and plus, I really enjoyed what I studied as well. I finally found something I really enjoyed. So, yeah, the mix of enjoying what I studied, wanting to look for a job, the travel component, walkability, the bicycling culture, the international culture made me want to, look for a job in Europe.
And like in terms of traveling around Europe, the Netherlands is pretty strategically located, right? Like it's pretty much in the middle of Europe, right?
Yeah, and especially eventually I moved to Amsterdam. The Schiphol Airport was only 15, 20 minutes away, and you can pretty much fly anywhere. Also, it was closer to fly to, China to visit relatives from Amsterdam versus a place like San Francisco as well.